Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show.
Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us here on the Boomer and X Show yet again. We're back.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is...
Do you know that reference?
Yeah, I do. I never use it, but
Well,
I know it.
Star Wars Day,
Mhm.
if you didn't know. Star Wars Day. So we have to have at least 5 Star Wars references in this episode.
You just had 3.
Oh, okay, well, we're on par.
By the way, tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. It's tomorrow for you and me. It'll be like 3 days ago when people are listening to this.
Nah, we're getting this out tomorrow.
Okay. So,
You're going to burn the midnight oil and
Am
edit
I?
this thing. We're going to drop it in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. 6 a.m. Y'all.
I'll be up till 6, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, welcome. Sorry for the long hiatus, but life and chores and jobs and family just sort of happen. So here we are.
Yep.
We thought we would just throw a little bit of some sports, and just a little, not a whole lot, because it's not a sports short by any
That's true.
stretch
Yeah,
of the
it's
imagination. And then we thought we'd talk about politics and current events a little bit, because a lot is going on. A little over 24 hours ago, we got to a place in our world where...
Whoa, spoiler alert.
So, well, everybody knows. Donald J. Trump looks like he will be the Republican nominee, but we'll get to that in a minute. But that's just a little bit of what we're going to be talking about as we go down the road
in
here.
the sports world, let's talk about the Derby first.
Okay.
And by we, I mean you.
By we, you mean me. You know, now last year, we did
a good breakdown last year.
We did a good breakdown. I had the past performances in front of me, and I remember a standout last year.
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
American Pharaoh.
Yeah. He
He was a bit of a standout. He had some very impressive races, and as we know, he went on to not only win the Derby, but the first Triple Crown in 37 years, and then he the Breeders' Cup Classic in the autumn to finish off his career. And I must say that going into this year, I've been so busy with other things, and politics and personal busyness have kept me to the point where I haven't looked at the field as much as I did going into last year's.
Well, yeah, last year we were calling out this guy's going down in the history books, and you were right on every single time, and now he's going down in the history books of having fun with mayors.
Having fun with mayors at $200,000 a
Oh,
clip.
yeah, that's
now
true.
that is the life. But this year's field in the Derby, which will be run on this coming Saturday, May 7th, has a full field of 20. The morning line favorite is Nyquist, listed at 3-1. There looks like a horse that certainly has South Louisiana connections, because the trainer is J. Keith Desormeaux. Yeah, and
So he's not just French?
No, and the jockey is Kent Desormeaux. So they're obviously
They're related.
Related, yeah, I'd say there's a good chance of that. And I know that is they're from around here. And then, by the way, the name of that horse is Exaggerator, and is listed as 8-1. So is among the favorites.
Oh, who's Nyquist then? Oh, so that's not the favorite.
Right, Nyquist is the favorite. Trainer Doug O'Neill, Mario Gutierrez is the jockey, and listed at 3-1. Coming out of the 13 hole. Post position is big in the Derby, because if you're too close in or too far out, you likely get a rough trip. And with 20 horses in the field, it's easy to get a rough trip. Yeah, it really is. So coming out of the 1 hole at 50-1 is Trojan Nation. Creator at 10-1 coming out of the 3. And Gunrunner at 10-1 coming out of the 5. Again, I haven't looked at the past performances. What we'll probably do is after the race, we might mention and talk about it a little bit. But anyway, so the Derby's coming up. Oh, Bob Baffert, by the way, who was the trainer of American Pharoah, has a horse in called More Spirit, M-O-R, Spirit. Coming out of the 17 shoot, Gary Stevens is the jockey. And he's listed in the morning line at 12-1. So a little bit of Derby talk right there, and after it's run, we'll talk about it after it happened, and see how it went, see if it looks like we have another potential Triple Crown winner on our hands. Any guesses? I'll say no, because it took 37 years to get that one.
No.
Okay, good.
It wouldn't be something having a back-to-back
It would be, and it's never happened.
by two different horses.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, it has to be two.
It can't. Yeah, it has to be.
Right.
Yeah.
It's never been back to back, but in the 1970s there were three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then not one since.
Correct.
Well, no, there was one in the
You
80s.
know what? Back to back they did. 77 and 78.
Really?
Yeah. 73 was Secretariat. 77 was Affirmed. And 78 was Seattle Slew. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, there were three in the 70s. That much I know.
Moving on, let's do, just real quick, Tom Brady and this dang Deflategate is back on the news again. So the appeals court, which is a third party that has nothing to do with the NFL, did hold up the suspension, 4-game suspension. And then I saw today he got an extension on an appeal, so he's appealing the appeal that he lost. How long can this go on?
And that's a good question. I don't know the answer to how long can this go on, but I will say this. I will be really, really, really surprised if he does a 4-game suspension when it's all said and done. I just will.
Even after an appeals court denied his appeal?
Because it just seems like one of those things that's been so long in happening, it's not going to happen. Does that make any sense?
But it's because of the appeals process and everything, it hasn't happened. I mean, it still happened, and he still got, I would say, fairly quickly Goodell came down and said, we're suspending you and charging the team $1 million, which is a joke. And
but the draft choices
that's true. The draft choices. Yeah, that's true. The draft choices.
I mean, God, $1 million to an NFL franchise is just nothing.
Yeah.
That's what one weekend of concession sales. Going back to when this thing first, broke, what I thought was strange was that it ended up in court anyway. I really thought NFL interior issues were NFL issues. I mean, I thought Goodell had the power to issue such.
I don't know. I guess he thought he needed a third opinion.
Punishment. Well, he didn't go there.
I know
he didn't go there because he had his say. But anyway, I don't know. It's just strange to me that it ever ended up in the court system, because I really thought that the commissioner had all the power he needed to do. He needed.
Well, if you're an appeal, though, it has to go to someone other than the commissioner, though.
But I'm saying, I thought the commissioner of the NFL rules the NFL,
and that was his say, and it doesn't have to go to some judge.
Maybe in a day,
maybe has Tom Brady on his fantasy team. Right. And maybe there was a time when that was the case, when Pete Rozelle was the commissioner of the NFL back when I was a kid. All powerful.
Yeah.
So speaking of an NFL player, the NFL draft just happened last week.
Yeah, last weekend the NFL draft happened, and we had a player, an Ole Miss player, who this picture came out of him going bong.
Yeah, he had a gas mask on with the bong attached to it.
Now, that was him, right?
He manned up. He said that was him, but it was from high school, which it has to be from high school, because if it was in college, there's, I guess, repercussions there. Maybe.
Well, as long as if you fail a test.
Yeah.
And
I did see they're not putting him on, they stage 1 where you got to do a drug test every week or whatever. They're not putting him on that. So I guess they're just saying okay, we believe you. It was 7 years ago. Or whatever.
Now, this was obviously someone that was set out to injure this guy. I don't mean physically injure him.
It was apparently a fired financial advisor.
From where?
That he had.
Oh, okay. So that's the story. That it was someone that he employed to be his financial and fired him,
and for some reason gave all his passwords to all of his social media.
Wow, that's not very smart.
No, but apparently athletes do it, so they don't, or famous people in general do that.
So they don't have to worry with anything?
Exactly. Like, I take a picture of you and post it as you posting it, and you don't have to worry about doing all that mess. There's actually jobs out there now, social media manager. That's a job now. I don't know what it pays, but it's a job.
So this kid fell how many spots? 4, 5, 6, 7 spots. Of course, remember a similar thing happened last year, and it was of a different nature, but the effect was similar.
On draft day, something happened.
Right before draft, LSU offensive lineman Lyle Collins' name ended up being mentioned in a shooting or a murder.
I think it was a murder.
Yeah, and it was an ex-girlfriend. As it turned out, he had nothing to do with it.
Yep.
But this news broke right before draft day.
And it was like midnight.
He went from being a first rounder to having to go free agent route to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I think the Dallas Cowboys, as much as I don't like and don't pull for the Dallas Cowboys, I think they did straight up by this guy and gave him about as rich a free agent contract as you can give someone. Isn't that?
I would say that's probably that's
so.
Right.
And as far as I know, he had a decent enough year. Of course, the Cowboys, with injuries and everything, had a horrible year last year.
Well, they have Elliott now, so he's probably
Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah.
Ezekiel
Elliott.
My takeaways from this, the ultimate winner out of the NBA draft would be Ohio State.
The NBA draft?
Did I say NBA?
Yeah.
The
NFL draft?
NFL draft.
Why? Why Ohio State?
Because they set records. They had 3 of the top 10.
Oh, really?
Drafted.
Well, that seems to me like you lost a lot of talent. I don't know that they would be the winners.
I mean, when you hear, I guess for recruiting purposes, in 1 year we had 3 guys go in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's a big deal there.
Yeah,
yeah, but next year's probably going to suck if you lost all that
Well,
talent.
LSU didn't have many go this year. After having tons of players go the past several years, they didn't have many.
If they want to win anything, it's got to be next year. It's got to be. They've got all the talent in the world next year.
I will save my rants.
Yeah, I understand. I mean,
right.
I already know who he's had on that field at one time, and they didn't win. Also, another thing I thought we would see was, we have a couple disgruntled veterans, Kaepernick, Sam Bradford, that I thought we would see traded for picks, and that didn't happen. So I was pretty surprised that didn't happen. So I'm guessing they're staying put. I don't guess they're going anywhere.
You mean Kaepernick's going to still be at Frisco?
I guess. If anything was going to happen with him, I thought it was going to happen draft day for picks.
Right.
And it didn't, so.
Right. Well, his name kept getting mentioned with regards to the Broncos.
Yeah. And
the Browns some too, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's up with that, but that's did you even watch it?
I didn't. Again, last year we watched the draft to talk about it a good bit. But I'll tell you, politics, current events, and some other things really have me riveted this year.
Last year we weren't competing with politics and other stuff.
Right.
So
right.
NBA playoffs going on right now. I don't think we hit it at all last year, but we have a new fan of NBA.
Yours truly.
Yeah, John.
Right here. I'm a renewed fan. Again, I had gone. I really hadn't watched. I hadn't paid attention since I was living in Houston back when the Rockets won back-to-back championships in the mid-'90s. A couple of years after that, I moved to Atlanta. Never really followed the Hawks and haven't really followed anybody since. Lost interest in the game because of 7-step, no traveling calls and everything else. Yeah. But I kind of started paying attention to the Warriors and Steph Curry, and of course, as soon as I started paying attention to them and him, he started getting hurt all the time, and now he's never on the court.
He's played a half.
I think
since
he has.
You've been watching
since
him.
I started watching, he's played a half of
Go
a game.
away, John. You're no longer wanted.
But they played game 2 in their series against Portland last night, and they went into the fourth quarter down by 11.
Yep.
and ended up winning by 11. So I believe that was like
I'll say what I wrote. That was they showed championship class in being able, and composure and poise. That's something you hear Steve Kerr say a lot. Poise. He always yells that.
The only thing that worries me, and you know how I am, I always find a reason to worry.
Okay.
Are they of the mindset that they can push the button whenever they want to?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. They're a championship team, and they're playing like it. I don't want to say they know it, because they've been here, and they know how you let one game get away from you, and then suddenly you're tied or down one, and now you're playing from behind. So they know that. They're smart guys. They have a brilliant coach. They know what they need to do. The Cavaliers, they're just kind of over here winning their games. They're 2-0 in their, they won tonight, making them 2-0 against the Hawks.
Against the Hawks, right? And they hit something
set
like
3-point
75 3-point,
20, 22, 23. I don't know. They set the record in 3-point playoffs. So, which I thought the Golden State just
broke. They just broke. Yeah. In the series against Houston. So yeah.
So it was just broken again.
So how do you feel about threes being so prominent in the game as opposed to the inside game? How do you just as a fan feel about it?
I like it because I don't want to say anyone can just go in there and dunk it, but you call it the high percentage shot. Everyone's going for the high percentage shot. The dunk. Well, like I said, anyone in the NBA can do that. If you have a team that's shooting over 50% from the 3-point range, that's pretty.
It's fun.
I like seeing a 3 rip more than a dunk.
I do too.
So
I do too. Now, what little bit I've started watching Golden State lately, they move the ball so well that they still get a lot of dunk opportunities.
Yeah,
they do.
They do.
But there's something about watching the arc of that 3 fly through the air
and
the swishing that net. It really is. And again, me as someone that's not a huge NBA fan or not a huge basketball fan, I enjoy watching the threes. I really do.
I'll tell you this. I like making 3-pointers more than I like dunking the ball.
Well, okay.
Because
I know I've never
Exactly.
come close to dunking a ball. I've got about a 2-inch vertical jump, and I'm 5'9". So, So, I don't think I ever get it.
Dunk's worried about there.
So Curry allegedly is still out for a while with the knee injury. This isn't the ankle.
Yeah.
This is he slipped on the floor.
Yeah, he said his ankle's fine.
His ankle's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, he busted up his knee. I don't know what was the actual injury. Just a bruised something or sprained knee. That's what it was.
Yeah, the MCL.
Yeah.
Sprained MCL.
So he's quoted or expected or whatever to come back this weekend, this Saturday. I don't think he'll be playing. I think they're going to do what they did against Houston.
He won't play until they lose.
Until they lose. And against Houston, I was fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Against Portland, I am not fine with that.
I think if he's well enough to play, he plays. That's me.
Well, what did you think about when they did that with Houston?
If he's well enough to play, he plays.
I think it's the media spinning it to where it's like, well, he's not playing because they don't want him to. I think if he can play, he's going to be out there playing.
Look, first of all, Steve Kerr was not only he was a part of the winningest team in history as a player with the Bulls, and now he is a coach of a championship team who is now the winningest team in history in terms of regular season record.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sit here and second guess him, but I just say that I don't like a player's involvement in a game being reactionary to the result of the previous game.
Yeah, me too.
If he's well enough to play.
I just think he's such an important person in that team. You just got to be real careful. If you send him back in there and he's not ready, and you didn't have to send him back in there.
But see, to me, that's not well enough to play.
I got you. So you're saying he's definitely well enough to play, but.
I'm not saying he is. I don't know if he is.
I know, but you're saying if he
is, then he plays. That's you don't wait on. We lost.
Exactly.
We need him.
Just rest him another. But I don't know. Guys play hurt in the NBA. In any sports, guys play hurt all the time. So that's kind of you. I guess you just have to look at. All right, well, is it worth it to gamble that he won't get more hurt?
Well, I hope,
like I said, especially in the playoffs.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he's able to come back and play because I'd actually kind of like to watch him before the year's over.
Well, I mean, he's definitely the best player in the NBA right now, and he's leading the best team.
Who's the guy? Draymond Green?
Yeah.
He's good.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone
on that squad is
good.
They're
good. They're good. They play as a team so well. The passing is phenomenal to watch. Yep. It really is.
The reason I like that team a lot is Steve Nash. Mm-hmm. Have you ever?
I know who
That's my
is.
favorite NBA player of all time.
Okay.
He was on Phoenix Suns, and when I became a fan, he was playing for the Phoenix Suns. He played with Leandro Barbosa, who is the fastest person in the world, and Andre Iguodala. Mm-hmm. He had that squad, and they're on the Golden State now, and so I've became fans of theirs by being fans of Steve Nash and his teammates. So seeing them on a team, they play like that Phoenix Suns team did when Steve Nash was getting these back-to-back MVP awards. So you can call me a bandwagon fan because I wasn't a Golden State, like, who do you think is going to win Golden State just because I like Golden State. I'm kind of that way now. So yeah, you can call me a bandwagon fan, but I've always followed these guys and what teams they're on. So, and I usually tend to root for that team. So I know you're a happy bandwagon fan.
I can't claim to be anything but a bandwagon fan. And here's where it's kind of different for me. I never was one to like someone because they were good. For instance, I never was a Tiger Woods fan just because he was great. I never was a Bulls or Michael Jordan fan just because they were great. I've never been a fan of a football team just because they were great. If I was a fan, it's because I had a reason of a rooting interest.
So it's the opposite with this?
I'm bandwagon. I'm pure bandwagon, but I don't think it's just because they're good. I think it's because, as I said, okay, they're doing something that's never been done before, so I want to turn it on and watch it, and then I watched the team play and the passing and how they really are a team. Yep. They're not a group of individuals, and I think really every bit as much of they're good. It's that they play. And the as way a team,
and if you don't agree, watch the fourth quarter of the.
Man, that was amazing last night. It really was. It really was. So yeah, I'm bandwagon. Sure, I admit it. But
last thing about NBA playoffs, OKC at San Antonio.
You
game
watched
2.
it. You said there were like 1,000 horrible calls in that game.
Yeah, the last 10 seconds or whatever, there were like 5 or 6 missed calls, and probably more. It's been broken down. People show zoom ins and slow motions of the whole thing. And I know you probably don't have any say on it, but other than game 1, they called enough. They blew the whistle enough to last the rest of the series. So I guess they made up for not blowing the whistle on that last 20 seconds or whatever. I don't know. The playoffs now is as far as fouls and stuff, it's getting annoying, I guess. And you can't, I guess what I'm trying to get at is you can't blow the whistle every time someone gets touched.
Right.
And then not blow it when all of this crap happens.
Right.
At the end of a game. So I don't know. I don't know where I fall.
I think I just came up with another reason why I like watching Golden State so much. They pass the ball so much. There's no opportunity for anybody to foul. Really,
that's true.
I mean, the flow of the game is different when you're not stopping, especially late in the game. You're not stopping every 10 seconds for a foul shot.
And another thing I like about them is they don't have a player who is his thing is the flop.
Right,
or the draw the foul. That's not, to me, that's not basketball.
No, that's soccer.
That's getting the ref to blow the whistle so you can try and get a free throw. That's not playing basketball.
No, I agree. And as much as I pull for the Louisiana guys, especially the North Louisiana guys, Carl the Mailman Malone, as much as I like him, was bad about the flop.
Oh, yeah.
Played for the Jazz.
And
he was kind of before your time, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's NBA playoffs, that's NFL draft, and that's a little bit about the Derby. We're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some real-world stuff.
Ike for president, Ike for president, Ike for president, Ike for president. You like Ike, I like Ike. Everybody likes Ike for president. Hang out the banner, beat the drum. We'll take Ike to Washington. We don't want John. Or Harry, let's do the big job right. Let's get in step with the guy that's hep. Get in step with Ike. You like Ike, I like Ike. Everybody likes Ike for president. Hang out the banner, beat the drum. We'll take Ike to Washington.
Do you like Ike?
Ike was before my time.
Yeah, 1952, huh?
Yep.
But
He
that
was a
political
World
ad.
War hero, by the way.
Yeah, that was a political ad, and that's kind of what we're, I guess,
That's where
gonna
we're
get started
going with this
into.
conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So Ike was a Republican, and now it looks like we certainly have a presumptive Republican nominee now to run in the general election, and that would be one Donald J. Trump.
Yep, Cruz dropped out. Was it last night?
Yeah, it was the night of the Indiana primary, May 3rd. Yes.
Yep.
May 3rd.
So that was a shocker.
It was.
I did not see that coming, and I know someone else did not see that coming. It was you.
Well, I certainly didn't see him dropping out. I really thought he was going to fight all the way to the convention.
Someone who did not see Trump going and getting the GOP nominee.
And
it was you.
It was me. It was me. Yes, it was.
And a lot of other people.
Yeah. Now, when he walks away from the convention as the nominee, I will say
You will then be wrong.
I will then be wrong. That has not happened yet.
What are you saying? Carson can come out?
No, I'm saying that nothing is over until it's over. And while I can't tell you anything logical that will keep it from happening, and in all likelihood it will happen, I'll have time in July or August, whenever the Republican convention is, to say, yep, I was wrong. He's the nominee.
Because you were saying he was going to go independent.
Here's what I thought would happen. I thought that he would not get the needed.
He wouldn't take losing.
He would not get the needed delegates.
Yeah,
and therefore he would not be the nominee, but he would be so strong a candidate, and his ego would not allow him to take not being the nominee, and he would go third party. Well, that doesn't look like is what's going to happen now. He is the presumptive nominee.
Do you think there will be a third party?
I had a crazy thought. I had just had a crazy thought while I was working tonight. Did Ted Cruz dropping out so suddenly, is he going to try to make a third party run? And I've certainly heard nothing about that whatsoever. Nothing at all. I just was so shocked that he exited the way he did. It just makes me wonder.
Why? Why would you? The way he's doing it, why would he want to do it that way if that's what he's doing?
I'm just so shocked that
he didn't
funny fight it through.
Well, he did say, we're suspending our campaign, but we're going to continue fighting.
Yes, he did.
What does that mean?
Well, they're always all going to fight.
That's true.
They're always all going to fight until they die for whatever it is they consider themselves fighting for. And he may have meant that may have been some sort of cryptic message, or it may have just been, we're not going to quit fighting for what we believe in. Yeah. But
and then Kasich, of course,
he would
true. Yeah. Rubio had more delegates still a month after dropping out. So
right. Kasich got 8% of the vote in Indiana last night. Yeah. That was extremely weak.
So what do you think? Why? There for a while, it was Cruz, Trump, pretty close. Where do you think Cruz went wrong?
I'll tell you where I think he went wrong. I really think the whole New York values line that he stated back in the winter in Iowa.
Well,
when he was saying Trump represents, quote, New York values as a slam,
in a
as
bad
a
way.
liberal,
and then wanted to go win
because
New
he
York.
wanted to try to win Iowa, not thinking ahead that, guess what? This is recorded, and people in New York who many multiples larger than
he
Iowa.
Took a slack. I think he came in fifth there.
He came in third out of the three, but it was a distant third. And
there was only three then.
Right, because that was just a couple of weeks ago or last week. Yeah.
Wow.
And so here he is with that hanging over his head. But before that, and keep in mind, when New York, there was also Pennsylvania and Maryland. There were a lot of Northeast states, and Connecticut. They all pretty much went the same way. Before those primaries on that Tuesday, the last Tuesday in April, Cruz had the momentum.
Did you turn off there?
I did.
Okay.
Cruz had the momentum.
But then Trump won 6, 7 in a row.
Well, 5 of them on that day.
That's true. Yeah.
And then the huge victory yesterday, 53-37, and again with Kasich picking up the remainder. But he went from having all the momentum 10 days ago to getting a 5-state butt whipping a week ago,
and then dropping out,
and then losing in Indiana, and then dropping out all of a sudden.
He needed Indiana. I knew that.
He did need Indiana, and that's the kind of state that it's very evangelical, it's very conservative, and that's the kind of place where you would expect him to do well,
especially over Trump.
Right.
So, man, if Trump getting the evangelical votes somehow,
well, so now we have this.
I know. Those votes have been going to other people.
Some have. Yeah. A lot have. They've been kind of split up.
That's true. Yeah.
But look, we all underestimated the appeal of Trump. We all underestimate. But I'll say this: I didn't underestimate voter anger. This is something I've talked to you about before this campaign ever started.
Yeah.
But I certainly underestimated the appeal of Trump, who, when I watch him and I listen to him, I just consider him emotionally unstable.
Maybe it's a show.
Maybe
it's like if you were to, say, go into a debate with someone like that and you knew that's how they were, you would kind of, not be as prepared because you're like, it's this guy,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you're saying he's trying to get people to underestimate him by acting like a maybe.
Yeah.
I just think a President Trump is a very scary proposition.
So at this point, it's either Trump or Hillary. That's pretty much the, I guess, prognosis. Even though Bernie's still in it.
Bernie's still, making a run, and I think he's going to go all the way through California, which is, and it seems like I looked at the primary calendar, and there's nothing for another 3 weeks, and then there's 6 of them all on one day, and I don't understand the point of that. But it's early June, probably 4 weeks from yesterday is when things wrap up in California and several other states. Sanders looks like he's going to continue to go and actually go to the convention and try to make some noise. Wouldn't it be crazy if the Democratic convention ended up being one that was a little more open or contested or fought than the Republican? We've all gone through the past several months thinking, oh my God, this Republican convention is going to be crazy, and now all of a sudden it looks like it's a done deal. It's wild. So let's assume that we have Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump now.
That's going to be one mudslinging fit right there.
It's going to be dirty. Trump has shown that there's no low he won't go to. And we're going to hear about Bill Clinton's infidelities, which to me has nothing to do with anything. It just doesn't.
You can't have a cheating first man.
Yeah, you can. But you know what? Because several of the people that were in on the impeachment of Clinton for this whole thing were having sexual scandals themselves. And in fact,
allegedly.
No, Dennis Hastert just went to prison because he was molesting 14-year-old boys. And he was congressman during all of that and voted for impeachment. He just went to prison.
Huh.
So anyway, and Newt Gingrich was a ringleader of that, and he was having an affair at the time. Ended up leaving that wife and marrying, I believe, the one he's with now. But anyway, look, for any of those guys to sit around and act holier than thou is ridiculous. But so anyway, that's gonna come up. Obviously, Benghazi's gonna come up. I expect to hear things like Whitewater Gate, which was some investment thing that kept getting brought up in the 90s when Clinton ran.
What are some things you think Hillary's going to be slinging?
All I think you have to do is put an ad together, and we're going to talk about some famous ads here in a few minutes. All I think you have to do is put an ad together of Trump saying stuff.
Nah, I don't think that would work.
You don't think so?
Nuh-uh.
Why is that?
Because it hasn't yet.
I don't think it's been tried really. Not well.
I've seen with him just saying random answers.
Yeah, but I obviously to whatever extent it was tried in the Republican primaries, it didn't work. But see, they didn't have a candidate. They didn't. They had Kasich, which obviously no one really liked, and Cruz, which everyone really hates. Everyone. And
then you have the middle, Donald Trump.
You had former Speaker of the House, John Boehner, saying that Ted Cruz was Lucifer in the flesh, and that over his dead body would he vote.
Why doesn't no one like Ted Cruz?
Apparently he's impossible to work with and deal with. Apparently,
huh.
I mean I've never met the man personally.
Well, I mean I've heard no one likes Hillary Clinton either.
Well, she's not popular.
Yeah.
She's not. Now to me, and maybe this is my left leaning bias showing up, but in my mind she's more unpopular because there's been a 2.5 decade onslaught against her from the political right. Now, she has created some of her own issues, certainly. There have been awkward moments and missteps and ridiculous things said during this campaign. One that comes to mind quickly is that she was talking about where was Bernie Sanders when I was fighting for health care in the 90s.
And in the video, he's right
behind her on the stage. So, look, she's not a perfect candidate by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But she has a world of experience. She was in the White House for 8 years. 8 pretty successful years. I mean, by pretty much anyone's estimation, the 90s were pretty good.
Well, she lived in the White House.
Well, but she was around. Trust me, she was around. Of course.
Do they let the first lady?
Well, yeah. Haven't you watched House of Cards?
Well, I'm about to say, do they let her in the war room or whatever?
I'm sure she had some input.
Situation room.
I'm sure she had some input in things. Also a senator, also a secretary of state. We would get 2 presidents for the price of one.
Talking about Bill?
Yeah, sure we would. And from an experience standpoint and a connected around the world standpoint, although my vote in the Louisiana primary went for Bernie, I think she's strong. Is she perfect? No. But, my God, Trump.
Man, you just don't like Trump.
No, I don't like Trump. I don't like Trump. But I'll say this, the current polls only show her anywhere from 3 to 12 points ahead. I mean, it's not like 20, 30, 40 points ahead. It's anywhere from 3 to 12.
But the general hadn't even started. That's assuming some kind of a general... Yeah. So it's...
And that's also assuming nobody runs third. Bernie won't do it.
No.
Bernie will not.
Bernie knows it will destroy the Democratic chances.
Yeah, and he won't do that.
Do you think Cruz would do it?
I just the way he left so abruptly just makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder. It just does. And Trump is still the presumptive nominee. I will say I'm wrong when he walks away from Cleveland with the nomination in hand. I mean, that looks like what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I just think he's dangerous. You seem to be under the impression that he's more acting dangerous more than he really is.
Yeah,
I hope you're right. But look, it's going to be a fascinating process, although it will be somewhat nauseating as well.
I'm starting a pool now for who do you think is going to have the craziest attack ad?
Oh, Trump.
Think so?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Trump will have the meanest, most spiteful attack ad certainly of this season, and it might be
who that you know of who has the best attack ad of all time. I've got mine in my mind.
I tell you who I think was the dirtiest.
Okay,
because it had.
Well, they don't have to be true. Did you know that?
I didn't. Well, sure.
Yeah, they don't.
Sure,
have to be
and unfortunately, you can lie and be successful. And I'm going to say the worst from a standpoint of just being dirty, and it may have not been the most vicious, but it was dirty. And I'm going to say the 2004 Swift boat ads against John Kerry.
I don't recall.
It was the so-called independent group, and they ran a series of negative ads questioning Democratic nominee John Kerry's military record. He was a decorated Vietnam veteran. But in Congress in the early 70s, he went before Congress and did some testifying or speaking anti-war. Well, anti-Vietnam War, even though he was a decorated veteran. The Swift boat ads came out and accused him of lying to obtain medals and so on and so forth, although the Navy records contradicted what they claimed, and some of Kerry's former crewmen,
like I said, they don't have to be true,
came to his defense, but yet it was out there, it was said, it was put in the mindset, and it was very effective, unfortunately. So I'm going to say, just from a standpoint of having no truthful basis whatsoever and being very effective, I'm going to go with the 2004 Swift boat. What about you?
And I can't remember the guy's name, even though as soon as I hear it, I'm going to recognize it. Bush Sr., the guy, the serial killer that went out and killed somebody.
Oh, the murderer.
Not serial killer.
Yeah, murderer. Willie Horton. The Willie Horton ad,
yeah.
1988.
Yeah. And so, the ad, I guess it showed that
Dukakis.
Yeah.
Who was the governor of Massachusetts.
So Bush is running, his campaign manager said, by the end of this election, you're going to think Horton is a running mate of Dukakis. And they did. I mean, so what happened was I don't know how many people got these furloughs, but he gave out furloughs, or he was for furloughs. He didn't give them out, but he was for furloughs that came out. Anyways, Horton went out and killed some people or a person.
Well, he stabbed a man and repeatedly raped the man's girlfriend, and this was while being on a weekend pass in the furlough program, and he was a convicted murderer.
That Dukakis was for. So the way Bush campaign spun it was he gave him the furlough, and then he went out and killed this person, and it's directly his fault.
Right,
and
right.
I think that was probably the best attack.
Well, now, while I consider,
as far as effective,
it was certainly
because as far as
effective, it was effective.
Dukakis was done.
He was done. Well, it's funny. Dukakis had two very bad ads against him. This was one of them, and I'll get to the other one in a minute. Here's the thing about it, and this was 1988. I didn't live in Massachusetts. I don't know the specifics of this furlough program, but I'll tell you, I've got a problem with convicted violent felons being given the weekend off. I do.
I don't think they allow it anymore.
Well, I don't know. And again, this every state's different. Was the ad fair? I'm not going to say it's nearly as unfair as the Swift boat.
It was factual, but not factual.
But I can't say I can't say it was morally wrong. I cannot say that one was morally wrong. Where I say the Swift boat was, because there was no factual basis for it whatsoever. The other Dukakis one was where
himself
riding around in a tank so he could look strong on defense, and he looked like some
crazy guy
wearing a stupid hat or something, and it looked horrible, and the other side took it and used it against him, and rightfully so.
Is that the Daisy Girl?
No.
It wasn't talking about him?
No.
I knew that one was talking about
no,
defense.
both of these were Dukakis.
Yeah.
Both of these were 1988, and Bush, and I don't even think that race was close. I don't.
So it wasn't the nail in the coffin, but it pretty much was.
Well, those two.
Yeah.
Those two. And again, that race wasn't even close. Yeah. And Bush was the 8-year vice president under the Reagan, in the Reagan administration. So usually a successful vice president like that will usually win, and he did.
I guess one question I had was how, and I know there's probably a way to answer this with numbers, but how effective are these attack ads and political ads?
I think they're very effective. I believe the Swift boat ad was extremely effective, and
I think more in the negative they're effective than they are.
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
positive.
Well, they're an attack ad.
Not just attack ads, but political ads.
Political ads in general. About. Yeah, I believe because I think.
So you're saying attack ads are more effective than
yes,
just showing me riding on my lawnmower saying I'm an American. That's probably or me.
I think if you can make someone fear the other side,
Okay.
Fear is the biggest motivator, I believe, in voting. I'll tell you this: speaking of fear, will I go to the polls in November more to vote for Hillary or against Trump?
Should I answer this?
Yeah, I'm asking
against
you.
Trump,
right? Because I fear him. I do. So I think fear is a motivator for both the right and the left.
I don't fear him.
Well, you think he's in professional wrestling and he's doing a shtick. That's kind of what I'm gathering from you. But
I think he's doing it very well, though.
Obviously, he's doing it well. I mean, there's nothing ethical or moral about it, but he's doing it well.
I've always had this I guess, belief that I don't want to say it doesn't matter who's the president, but to an extent, it doesn't matter who's the president, you know? You see where I'm coming from? With all the checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
I know you have your executive orders and everything, but I don't know. I've in my very short political votership, it feels like it's just never really mattered to me. Although, other than it's like, I voted for him and he won, but there's so many promises that aren't kept on every side, and sometimes that's why I voted for this guy.
Tell you one thing that matters a lot is Supreme Court nominees.
That's true.
And we have an outstanding right now. We have a seat open that has yet to be filled because the Republicans...
And that's something the president does?
The president nominates someone, and the Senate confirms, but this Senate will not even go through the process of listening to Obama's nominee because they're saying that we're going to wait till next year.
So what are they going to do if it's Hillary? Wait till the next election?
Well, then there will be a lame duck session between the election and inauguration, and they'll probably go ahead and do it then because someone else more liberal could get nominated. So then they may go ahead and rush to do it because it was like, oh hell, let's get him in because he won't be as that bad. But before we get on to whether it matters or not, I want to go back to one more attack ad, the most famous, what I consider to be the most famous attack ad, scare tactic ad ever.
Daisy Girl.
It ran one time.
Really?
It ran one time in the 19...
it's not on YouTube. I couldn't find it on YouTube.
That's odd. That's odd because I have seen it on TV several times over the years. I don't mean recently, but I mean over the years. So have you ever seen it? I know I've mentioned it to you. You've seen it. So the girl sitting there, for our listeners that maybe haven't seen it, there's a little girl sitting there and she's picking little things off of daisies or whatever. And so then all of a sudden there is this mushroom cloud, this nuclear explosion, and the point of the ad was that, and this was run by the LBJ campaign against Barry Goldwater, was that Goldwater was so careless, and no, not soft, no. So right-wing and careless that he would potentially start World War III.
Oh, okay. I see. The way I took it was he was going to allow this to happen, not make it happen.
Make it happen. Yeah, he was going to make it happen. So the ad ran once and was pulled from the airways. However, it was repeated on newscasts.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's how it became so famous.
I tell you, this isn't an attack ad, but there's two. And I played the first one that every time I think political ad, I think I like Ike, you're like Ike, and it just jingles because I'm more of a music person than anything. And then Kennedy, that say Kennedy's name 100 times, that's a commercial.
So too positive.
Yeah. That's the ones I think of. When you think, hey, what's your favorite attack? What's your favorite political ad? I think those two. And I can't think of my favorite attack ad because I don't know, they kind of all feel the same to me. I'm
going to go with the Daisy Girl just because it was so simple and yet so effective. And I'm right in front of me here. I want to read to you. So there's a countdown, and at 0, a blast in a mushroom cloud. Then a male narrator comes on and says, "These are the stakes to make a world in which all of God's children can live or to go into the darkness. We must either love each other or we must die."
Who's the narrator?
The ad was created by Doyle Dane Bernbach Agency. It does not give, the article I'm looking at right now does not give the name of the narrator. That would be a good
James Earl Jones opportunity there.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. I don't think that was a little before his time. So anyway, there's some famous attack ads. I guess Daisy Girl is my favorite. Again, just for simplicity.
I think, yeah. I like the one where old dude rolls up in the tank.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like, really, you thought that was gonna go in your favor?
Right. And Dukakis probably was his own worst enemy.
Yeah,
really. There were 80, 84, and 88, there were 3 lashings that Democrats took. 80 was Carter losing big to Reagan. 84 was Carter's VP, Mondale, losing big to Reagan. And 88 was Dukakis losing big to
Bush.
Yes.
I guess a little nugget of knowledge that I found out in doing this research, and this was actually more on dark money and I guess campaign funding.
Mm-hmm.
But what I guess what would you a running election? What do you call it when they're in the primaries? What are they?
Candidates?
A candidate?
Okay.
Yeah. So a candidate, what they'll do is they'll put out like hours and hours and hours of footage of just random stuff like me sitting down reading a book to my kid or riding my tractor mowing my field, and
average Joe.
Exactly.
Yeah,
just
likable
videos,
guy
running down the road and no background music, no nothing. And then these PACs and super PACs who are using the campaign dollars, they make these ads either for or against, and it's just out there. It's just out there. So how that fits into dark money is you're not supposed to work in tandem,
right?
Exactly.
You're not supposed to.
So
right.
I'm not directly handing you this video.
I'm just putting it
I'm putting
out
it
there
over there and telling you where it's at.
Right.
I mean, come on, loopholes like crazy. But that's dark money. We're going to get to that on another episode.
Yeah, well, I think I want to look into that and talk about it a little bit later.
That's a fun topic, and especially the percentage of money used as far as the candidate itself, and then money used for. Like, they didn't even, like I say, they don't work hand in hand with it, but they're like, yeah, sure, you can put that out there,
Right.
So it's those numbers are pretty mind-boggling as far as dollars, and then the percentages are pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we want to hit. And again, I think as we go through the next several months, we're going to probably stay pretty close to this campaign.
Yeah, and the issues, and we've actually recorded a gun issue, gun control, and that's in editing process, so it'll come out eventually. And we're going to hit immigration. We've said this before. We're going to hit some issues as they talk about them, or before
and I believe the campaign itself is going to provide plenty.
I think, like I said, it's going to be a mud fest. It's going to be crazy.
So we'll stay with it. We'll stay with it. It'll be just think about it. It's in early November. We're going to be halfway through the NFL season. So we're going to get into our whole football thing it's going to be a busy autumn.
Sure is.
It's going to be a busy autumn. So I think we're probably wrapping this one up now, but
I got nothing else.
We do want to pay a tribute to another music legend and icon. Prince passed away. Now it's been a while now, but it's certainly been since our last show, so we wanted to talk about it a little bit. Right now in early May, it's looking like there was a prescription painkiller drug issue.
Was it Percocet? I know I heard
maybe.
Originally I heard found in an elevator by itself, and there were pills.
Okay, I didn't hear that at the beginning.
Yeah,
originally there was this whole stopped en route from Atlanta to
his
Minneapolis, and his plane landed because of flu. The whole flu thing didn't make sense.
Yeah,
and I mean, I didn't have an alternative view or alternative answer, but the whole flu thing didn't make sense. And now it looks like prescription painkillers may have played a role, possibly a significant role. But be that as it may, we have certainly lost another legend and icon in pop and rock music.
Did you know? Now I knew he did. I knew he was a writer. And I did not know until he passed away. Someone made a little montage of all his hits that he wrote that he did not sing.
Right.
Because, of course, he did all of his own stuff. And he was a master of like 20-something instruments. Mastered. So musician alone right there.
But, and a very savvy businessman as well. So certainly multi-talented.
But, I mean, all the hits he wrote, all the no one will be like him. I mean, he was right up there with MJ. As far as I guess record sales and it's definitely the type of music. Sometimes there's a song where you hear him singing, it sounds like MJ.
Well, look, I mean, as far as playing instruments, did MJ ever play anything?
I think, sure.
Did he?
You can't be the king of pop and not play an instrument.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know that I ever saw him playing anything, but I didn't follow that closely. I wasn't the biggest MJ fan.
Definitely, out of the two, Prince was way more of a musician.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could pick up anything and play it.
Did MJ write?
Maybe.
He wasn't prolific if he did.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No. He definitely didn't write. If anything, he didn't write for other people like Prince did.
Yeah. So we're going to leave you on this episode with Prince and his it's going to be...
This is a Super Bowl performance and my all-time favorite. I've seen now since he passed away a lot of Prince videos, and before I watched all of those, this was my favorite already. Favorite song and favorite performance. It's raining like crazy at the what was it, Super Bowl 4? It was raining like crazy.
It was raining.
Yeah, some of those cameras, the way they hit that high def, you can barely even tell that it's raining. But anyways, here is
Prince Rogers Nelson.
Yeah, Prince Rogers. So for his first
Prince
name
was
is
his first name.
Prince Rogers Nelson. So here's a tribute to Prince Rogers Nelson. Rest in peace. John, you got anything?
No, that's it. We'll thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
I never meant to cause you any sorrow. I never meant to cause you any pain. I only wanted one time to see you laughing, babe. Only wanna see you laughing, yeah. In the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. That's alright. Come on, y'all. Purple rain, purple rain. Oh yes. Don't it feel good? Only wanna see you, see you. Can I play this guitar?